to F1 Chase for the Title. I'm your host, James Beek, otherwise known as JB. Tonight, my co-hosts are Steve. Say hello, Steve.
Hello. Good evening.
His friend in yellow and his McLaren hat is Chase. Say hello.
Hello.
I have a sixth sense of this nose that we're missing somebody. Are we missing somebody, Steve?
I usually look over to him, but all I see is you and Chase. So I'm going to assume.
I can't remember it. It probably wasn't too important.
But I think we're missing Dr. Bill, Pete.
Dr. Bill. Yes, I understand he's on a glamorous trip to Monaco. Is that correct?
It could be considered Monaco in some parts of the country to some people. Not
so he's not Monaco. He's somewhere else, huh? Okay. No. Well, I think we can safely say he's on vacation and hopefully he's enjoying himself. We've got some text from him. It sounds like he's having fun doing what he's doing. And he will be back with us certainly next week. And we may even have a guest appearance in a Fast Five segment with Dr. Bill. So we'll see if we're going to make that arrangement. So in the meantime, this past weekend, we got to watch the Belgian Grand Prix. That's famous Spa. And there was a race, but I don't think the race was really for first or second. The race was sort of in midfield. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Lewis wins again. Won by almost 5 seconds. And there was never really any doubt from the start. I mean, the only concern perhaps was at the first turn would there be bumping or he somehow get off to a bad start. That did not happen. He just went, right? So it kind of took a lot of excitement out of the race, at least for first place anyway, right, Steve?
Yeah, it was. I think everybody was hoping that first turn would really kind of relinquish some of the excitement and enthusiasm with other drivers. And I think, we did see some exciting driving. It just didn't happen to be in the first 2 or 3 drivers. And, Hamilton really didn't look back much after that first turn. And he just kind of laid it on from there on out. So anticlimactic a little.
Yeah, it really was. And then, the usual suspects for Verstappen, Bottas behind him were sort of jostled a little bit. Even that was not much of a competition after the first couple laps. So, right, Chase? I mean, really the top 3 kind of just pencil them in. It looks like every week now.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too much variation week to week within the top 3, which, I mean, I guess there is no variation. But, if you step back and you look at from 4th down, you probably have one of the most interesting seasons that we've had in a while. And watching the midfield battle is definitely something I look forward to every week.
Well, I was going to kind of talk about this jump ahead a little bit, but I think it's probably appropriate since we're talking Lewis. I think the Italian Monza Grand Prix, I think it's number 8, right, on our schedule, I believe. And I think we've announced 17 races. But I don't know about you guys, but does it feel like it's over already for Lewis, that Lewis is the winner? And barring some disaster, even though we got a lot of points left on the board and a lot of races that the odds are so stacked in his favor that it just doesn't look like there's going to be a competition, even though he's 50, I think he's 50 points up over Verstappen right now, but it feels like it's an insurmountable lead, Steve, doesn't it?
It kind of does, and I don't know the analytics to say if for some reason Hamilton were to crash and go to last, how many potential points he would lose as a result of it. I mean, I guess, you're looking at probably 25, going from 25 points to 0, but with a 50-point strong lead on your closest competitors, I think you would, need 2 DNFs before you could even consider this a close race. And I think that is highly, highly unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, reliability, right, Chase, has just been such a Mercedes hallmark. It's not like in other years when the leaders are right on the edge all the time with their vehicles. This is reliable transportation that happens to be super fast, right?
Yeah. Mercedes is definitely has the number one engine right now in F1, and they really, even like from an aerodynamics like standpoint, they just look so far ahead from everyone else that it's really like they're just putting on such a dominant performance. And like what Dad was saying earlier, with anyone being able to catch up to Hamilton and like taking those points, unless there's a DNF, like you said, he's going to finish in the top 4. So he's getting a ton of points either way. It's too short of a season, I think, unless something really crazy happens. It's just too short of a season for someone to come back.
So there's some scuttlebutt in F1 news this week so far that people are questioning whether Bottas is being aggressive enough. But he's just kind of mailing it in and just trying to position himself so to basically to keep up with and perhaps pass Verstappen for second place in the points. And that's really his competition. It's not Lewis anymore. And so what he's trying to do is make sure he finishes and gets as many points as he can, as opposed to really push and try to do anything to disrupt his teammate. Steve, what do you think of that?
Well, I think you have to measure the sanity of trying to beat Hamilton right now, based on the fact that he seems to have a better car. He seems to be getting better pit strategy. He just seems to have the advantage on so many different levels. And to continue to try to beat Hamilton might do more psychological harm to him than not. And plus, pushing his car in order to beat Hamilton could jeopardize his standings with Verstappen. So to your earlier point, I think right now it is more about a battle with Verstappen and making sure that he's a solid number 2 to make sure that they usher in the points.
And to that extent, I guess the other question is, Lewis said something about Verstappen. He thinks that basically said he's not as good a teammate as he should be with his Albon, his teammate, and if they're working more together, somehow they would be pressing Mercedes more. Chase, what are you thinking with that? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Red Bull is an interesting case, I think, because you look at a lot of the other teams and they're usually finishing pretty close to each other, and they're usually very tight when in the race. But Red Bull isn't like that, and you like, even in weeks past, Albon pits very early, and then you have Verstappen in the top 3, Albon in the bottom group, and there's no way they can really help each other. And Red Bull's looking at it from a points perspective, and they're going to get the most points helping Verstappen, and Albon's back there, so why would they help him? And so it's just all a bad combination. And I think Verstappen doesn't have too much, or I guess he does have a say, but it's not like he has much that he can do to help Albon himself. It's just kind of what it is.
Well, yeah, and again, as we were talking about off air, the top dog in each one of these teams doesn't feel like it's their job to lend a hand to their teammate. You very rarely ever see that. It's always, I'm the number 1 guy. It's all about service to me. And if there are team orders, they should be directed in my benefit, not the other way around. So, having said that, for Lewis to be opining on Verstappen and his team just seems to be, I don't know, it just seems to be giving them the needle. And it's fun. Psychological stuff with these guys is really as much of the tactic as there is physical in the car and stuff. So, all right, listen, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go take a break. And when we come back, Chase alluded to it earlier. There's some terrific racing that's been going on, but it's not necessarily up front. It's kind of behind the front 3. And I think it's been pretty exciting. And particularly this race, Belgian Grand Prix, was exciting. So let's talk about that when we come back in segment 2. Thanks.